My name is Derek, and today I'm going to be showing you something that can take your repair game to the next level. When it comes to replacing iPhone displays, especially on the newer models, something that can get quite annoying is the notifications that pop up, and the solutions for them are a little tricky, but there are tools, such as the one I'm going to show you today, that can help that process become much easier. Let's get into the video. One thing that you might have noticed in the industry is that some displays are coming without an IC installed, which allows you to much easier transfer over the original IC to eliminate any notification. However, not all displays are like this, and really the only model that we've seen this on so far is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Everything before that, you're either having to desolder the IC or use an aftermarket display that allows you to transfer the IC in one way or another. But to be able to use an original display, it's quite complicated because removing the IC from a new display, especially an original display, is a lot harder than any aftermarket because of things like underfill and the design of the flex. So in today's video, I'm featuring this grinding machine. It's fairly compact, taking up less than a square foot of desk space, but it's going to allow me to make quick work of a display IC so that I can get down to the flex in a much easier way. This will ensure that the repair goes much smoother when it comes time to solder the IC onto the flex.
This grinder is quite nice, being able to step it down incrementally, layer by layer. Here I'm going to show you, we're going to look at each layer under a microscope. I think it'll be quite unique to see kind of the layers that make up this IC. I'm obviously taking it really slow. You could be more aggressive with this, take less passes. I'm just taking my time so we can get a good idea of the different layers. Finally got down to a layer that we can look at under the microscope. Let's take a look at it. Look at that, you can see the different little ICs along with the individual capacitors, resistors, filters, whatever those might be. Passing through that layer, you can now see the little solder pads where those go to along the bottom of the filters and ICs. Here you can see the logic board section that those are soldered on top of. We'll grind through that. Here you can see the remaining portion of the logic board. Grinding through that should get us down to the solder pads on the flex. I'm going to get as close as I can, removing this, getting rid of the underfill and as much of the old solder as possible without digging into the flex cable at all with the grinder. We'll blow it off. And you can see I've got a teeny section of the IC left. It's not much, probably wouldn't get in the way of anything, but with a small razor blade I can easily pick that away.
Here I have this iPhone 12 that has got lines going through the display. It still works, and as you can see, it is the original display as we have no notifications at the top. And here I have an OEM pull, grade A, which means we have a perfect new original display. And you've already seen the layers come off one at a time using the TBK grinder. A super convenient tool. The process for removing this IC is quite straightforward, and given that this is a bad display, I'm not going to really worry about trying to salvage any of it. I'm going to move straight to removing the underfill and popping this IC off the flex. To remove this IC, I have two numbers in mind, 320 and 230, reversing those numbers. 320 to remove it, 230 to put it back. That's kind of my go-to process to remove it from the flex and to apply it to the new flex without issue.
This will show you a clear example as to why grinding it off is so much better than trying to desolder it, as the carnage that occurs removing this IC to the masking that's on this flex would make it really hard to solder a new IC to a flex. Here we'll put it in a clamp so we can remove the underfill. I put some 138 solder paste and some flux on there. This will help me kind of cut through the underfill. Using the soldering iron. There are a few different techniques that you can use to do this, but this is just my preferred technique, just to carefully go and scrape off all the underfill until it's all free and clear of underfill. I'm going to take some wick and we'll pull off all of the solder, and with some isopropyl alcohol and a brush we'll clean it up. Here you can see a nice clean IC ready for reball. So I'm going to line it up in my stencil. This has a magnetized stencil which pinches down against the IC. We'll take some 138 solder paste. And I'm going to take microfiber cloth and kind of make sure it's all smoothed out. Put a little bit more. There was a couple holes that needed some more. Now with the heat at 230 degrees, we go in and melt the solder and get a nice solder balls on there. We'll pull that away and then we'll double check. Looks like there's a couple that need to get recentered, so we'll flow it. Now I'm going to take my thin pry tool and some isopropyl alcohol and we'll carefully push under the flex and get it to pull away from the back of the display. I'm really going to take my time here. I really don't want to bend the flex because we want it to remain as flat as possible so that the IC has a flat surface to go at. So that's why I'm not peeling it up, that I'm actually taking the tool for it. Now I'm going to prevent the display from getting damaged with this pad, this white pad below for heat resistance. We'll add some flux to the flex cable. And as you can see, I've got it here perfectly aligned on the pads before I solder it. Now keeping my air at a low airflow at 230 degrees Celsius, we'll flow it down into place. You'll see it kind of shimmy on down towards the flex. And then I'm going to agitate it, tapping it from the sides so that we can ensure that everything's snapped into place. And then we'll let it cool down. And here you can see another side profile of all of the solder balls making good contact. Nothing's too close or too far away. And here you can see the other side, the corner. Everything looks really good. Alright, we now have the original IC on the new display. Let's go ahead and connect it up and test it. Alright, we've got the display connected. Let's go to power it on. We've got an Apple logo, and we're looking for touch. We've got touch, that's a good sign already. And if we go into the settings, we have no issue, no notification. The display has been replaced. As you can see, we've got touch everywhere.